These days, Jane Hight McMurry calls it a jungle and says women often sabotage themselves to a greater degree than men, making it even more difficult to make a good living doing something they enjoy. McMurry is out with a new book, Navigating the Lipstick Jungle. Go from plain Jane to getting what you want, need, and deserve.
McMurry is speaking tomorrow night at a fundraiser for Dress for Success, an organization that works to help underprivileged women prepare for and succeed in the workforce. She says landing a job and being paid what you're worth is all about trusting yourself, preparing well, and communicating properly.
Well, the lipstick is the veneer, and I'm here not to teach people how to apply lipstick and make it pretty. I'm talking about what's underneath that lipstick to plump up their skills so that they can maneuver in the gnarly brambles of the corporate jungle.
This is a tough time to even get a job, much less nobody's even asking or thinking about getting a raise these days, if you still have your job. So let's start with the people who have been laid off, perhaps for a couple of years at this point, who are looking for a job. Women in particular, and you talk about this, sell themselves short.
Well, they do, and sometimes people say, well, how does a person go about getting what they want, need, and deserve? There are a lot of skills that are involved, but the very most important step are the basics, and that is knowing exactly what it is that you want. A lot of people say, well, I just want a job. That's not good enough. If you don't really know what it is that you want, you're never going to find it, or how are you even going to know it when it's right in your face?
So what would you recommend? Write it down? This is the job I want?
Absolutely. You have to write your goals down, be crystal clear about what it is that you want.
And then when you go into the interview, let's say you nail an interview, you get an interview,
Okay.
And let's say your top 3 tips on how to present and get what you want.
Well, the first thing you need to do is, of course, know exactly what you want. You've identified the job that you want, and then determine what skills can you bring. How have you equipped yourself? Is it with education? Is it with technical skills? Is it with experience? And you need to go in and be able to sell yourself to that employer.
We hear so much, and we continue to hear about the income gap.
Their gap is 12% less when they first exit college. And then by the time 10 years rolls around, the gap has increased. By the time they are older women, the gap has increased to 30%.
You're saying when they're in their 50s?
When they're in their 50s.
Making less, 30% less than a man with the exact same education, exact same experience. A lot of men will hear this and say, well, but you know what, a lot of those women left the job force. They had children, they got married, or for some reason left the job force for years. Why should they be paid dollar for dollar, cent for cent, what I'm paid when I've been working the whole time?
But you know, that's kind of not really that true. There's a study that shows that women might pause briefly to take a maternity break, but they are going back into the workforce. So they're penalized for it. So there's a mommy penalty. Is that fair? Because we've stopped to have our children and raise them.
Well, you were saying women almost a lot of times undercut each other, and the example you used was coming back from maternity leave.
Well, sometimes women sabotage themselves, and sometimes women sabotage other women in the workplace.
Without even knowing it.
Without even realizing it. There may be a woman who is in a hiring position, and she may say to someone, well, let's not give her the job because that job's going to require that she move to Kansas City. And the person who's qualified and would love to move just gets passed over and never even realizes, why did I get bypassed? And a woman was in the hiring position. So there was this, we have an expression in the South that we call bless your heart. And it really means bless your heart, idiot, because you're not really looking after yourself. You need to make sure that other people are aware of what you can do and what you want to do. If you don't, then bless your heart. If the other person hiring you doesn't know, then bless their heart if they don't realize your competencies, your skills, the things that you can bring. But you can never manage another person. You can only manage yourself. You have to 100% manage 50% of every communication that you have.
Right now, I mean, it's tough. Even if you have a job, as I said, no one is even thinking about asking for a raise. But your advice would be, you know what, bring it up.
Women can't just go into a place and say, I want this much, right. Maybe it's 200%.
A man can't, for that matter.
No, you need to know what your job is worth and what your job actually is worth. And technology is fabulous because it used to be you had to have access to it, maybe in a university setting. The internet is marvelous.
It's certainly, it is just not socially acceptable to walk up to a person who's in the position that you would like, or a position similar, and say, how much do you make, by the way? How much should I ask?
Right. And there are some great websites. One is called payscale.com, and you can actually go to that site, and you can type in the job that you have, put in the experience that you have, and it will tell you what the average salary is for that. So if you know that your compensation is much less, then you have some leverage. You never want to ask for 200% more, but maybe 20% more. So you can put yourself in a position to negotiate for a salary. Sometimes it may be that you're not going to be talking about dollars, but maybe there's some other things you can talk about. Maybe a cell phone, or maybe they would pay, maybe give you some more bonus days, vacation days. So there are other ways that you can be compensated during times when the economy is tight. Maybe there is a product that someone's asking you to develop, and it's going to create a lot of income for your boss or your company for years and years. So you might say, I know that money is tight, but because I'm going to be working on this and I'll be using my time, I would like a percentage of the income that comes out.
Now, did you know that when Southerners say, oh, bless your heart, they actually mean you idiot?
I don't think I would put it as bluntly as she does, but I get the point, and I think she's dead on.
And she's from North Carolina, so thank you for letting us in on that. And Jane Hight McMurry is the keynote speaker for a fundraiser tomorrow night for Dress for Success. The event is open to the public, $15 a ticket, and begins at 5:30 at 1 Longfellow Square in Portland.
There are links to more information. You'll find them on the 207 page of our website. Stay with us. We'll be back with tips on how to eat healthy over the holidays.